Oh, freedom, oh, freedom over me. For I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave, and go home to my Lord and be free. Oh, justice, oh, justice, oh, justice, oh, justice over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave, and go home to my Lord and be free.
Hi, my name is Brianna Lyell from J.J. Hill Montessori School.
Hi, my name is Tanner Haynes from Clear Springs Elementary School in Minnetonka.
Together, our two schools welcome all of you here today.
Brianna, do you know what all of us in this room have in common? We're all peacemakers, making us partners in peace. Friends, students, teachers, parents from our community have gathered here today. It's great to see so many of you here.
One of our partners in peace is Mrs. Joanne Knuth, our area superintendent.
Well, thank you, Brianna and Tanner. You are right. We have many very important dignitaries and visitors, all partners in peace with us. And I want you to know that you are standing in front of the St. Paul Public School Board. So we welcome you, and we have very important dignitaries before us. I'd like to introduce Mr. Geir Lindested, who is the director of the Nobel Norwegian Institute. Mr. Jack Nist, who was an exchange student from Norway and has also worked with Mr. Lindested and has worked with the Peace Foundation. So welcome. And we welcome Dr. Bill Frame, president of Augsburg College. We want all of you now to sit back, enjoy, relax, and watch this wonderful show our children have prepared in honor of President and Mrs. Carter. Thank you.
As Peace Site schools, we believe in reaching out in service to others. Zero tolerance for violence by seeking peace within ourselves and in relations with others. Celebrating differences, taking care of the earth, and helping people around the world. We are all a part of Mother Earth. We need to work together for a peaceful world.
Please say the peace pledge with us. You'll find it in the program.
I am a peacemaker. I treat myself and others with respect. I listen, I share. I care for the earth, air, water, plants, and animals. I am important to the very big world. I know peace begins with me.
Each year we come together after studying a Peace Prize laureate, sharing what we've learned through displays and performances.
Our Nobel Peace Prize Festival was another huge success, with over 800 students attending. Today, we are fortunate to be surrounded by many of those same laureates we just saw a couple of days ago.
All of them are imposters, however, except for one. President Carter, Mrs. Carter, Honorable Mr. Mondale, and Mrs. Mondale. It's an honor to have us with you here today. No, yeah.
Rabin Sadat and Martin Luther King. Your teacher, Miss Julia Coleman, your wife, Rosalind. They inspired you as you inspire us. You teach us hope, teach us love, teach us peace. You've served us all in so many ways all throughout your life. Your family, your church, your farm, and in your hometown. The Navy, the White House, and all around the world. Building homes, writing books, sharing your faith. You give people chances to build their own lives. You give people voices to choose their own paths. You bring us together, all nations and faiths, waging peace, fighting disease, building hope. Egypt and Israel had fought for a long time. Their conflict needed resolution, good faith and compromise. For 13 days you talked with them, the treaty then was signed. You kept your head, kept your cool, kept your dream. You give people chances to build their own lives. You give people voices to choose their own paths. You bring us together, all nations and faiths, waging peace, fighting disease, building hope.
Sometimes be a necessary evil, but no matter how necessary, it is always an evil, never a good.
We will not learn how to live together in peace by killing each other's children. The bond of our common humanity is stronger than the divisiveness of our fears and prejudices.
God gives us the capacity for choice. We can choose to alleviate suffering.
We can choose to work together for peace. We can make these changes and we must. You're a hero, Jimmy Carter, for your courage and your strength. Your sacrifice and selflessness, your heart and your beliefs. Your words make me want to be a part of your work. Teaching hope, teaching love, teaching peace. You give people chances to build their own lives. You give people voices to choose their own paths. You bring us together, all nations and faiths, waging peace, fighting disease, building hope. You give people chances to build their own lives. You give people voices to choose their own paths. You bring us together, all nations and faiths, waging peace, fighting disease, building hope. Waging peace, fighting disease, building hope.
We hope you will enjoy the second half of the performances.
Today we will have 3 performances. Valley Crossing will sing an original song about Jimmy Carter. Golden Lakes Wax Museum will come to life, and Kiwamo's Peace Choir will end our performances. I love wax museums, don't you?
Yes, let's see what they have to say.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Clara Barton, and I created the American Red Cross in Washington, D.C. on May 21st in 1881. Before I created the American Red Cross, I was a school teacher in New England. Hello, my name is Elizabeth Dole, and I was head of the American Red Cross from 1991 to 1998.
That was fun. Let's do it again.
Hello, my name is Shireen Ibwadi. I was born in 1947 in Iran. I graduated from the Tehran University with a degree in law. I am a lawyer, political activist, and author. I was one of the first female judges in Iran, but was forced to resign after the 1979 revolution. I won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2003 for my work in human rights focusing on women and children. I was the first Iranian and the 11th woman to receive this award. In 1999, students at the Tehran University were attacked and several students died. Working tirelessly, I successfully discovered who was guilty of this attack. For this, I was imprisoned. I believe that if the 21st century wishes to free itself of violence, acts of terror, and war, there's no other way than by understanding and putting into practice every human right of all mankind, regardless of race, gender, faith, nationality, or social status.
Hello, I'm here representing the International Labor Organization. We won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1969 for our hard work and dedication towards giving people equal rights in their workplace. After World War I, people came together in agreement about peace. At that came the International Labor Organization, or the ILO. It addressed the concern for fair and equal treatment for people in their workplace worldwide. It was created in 1919. In 1946, it was the first organization to work with the United Nations. The ILO's headquarters is located in Geneva, Switzerland. The original membership was 45 nations, then grew to 174 in 1997. The ILO still exists today, protecting the rights and safety of people in their workplace.
Okay, I like that one over there. Hello, my name is Baroness Bertha Sophia Felice de von Suttner. I was born on June 9, 1843 in Prague, though I remember it as Austria. As a young girl, I studied languages and music. When I could no longer impose on my mother's dwindling funds, I took a position in Vienna as a teacher companion. In 1876, I left to be Alfred Nobel's secretary. I inspired him to make the Nobel Prize. I returned after a short stay to marry Baron Arthur Gundekar von Suttner. While I was with him, I wrote many of my novels. In 1889, my book Lay Down Your Arms was published. I went against popular opinion then because I published a novel speaking out against war. When Roosevelt received me in the White House on October 17, 1904, he said to me, "World peace is coming. It certainly is coming, but only step by step." And so it is. I received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1905 for my anti-war novel, Die Waffen nie der, or Lay Down Your Arms. I was the first woman to win the prize. That was fun. Looks like the choir's ready.
May there always be blue skies. May there
The next song is printed, the words are printed in your program. It's called the Peace Round, I believe. We Are the Future. We actually wrote the song, designed the song to be around the forum's theme this year, which is in the front of your program. It says, Striving for Peace, Roots of Change. So that's where our text came from. And we're going to sing it through once in unison and then as a round. And then we would like to do it again the same way and have you join us. And we'd like this side to join this side of the choir and this side to join this side of the choir. And we'll start with, this is side one over here. So you'll start the round, and halfway through, which is after the word world, this side will join, and you'll sing it in a round twice. So copy what the choir does. They'll do it once, and then you'll join us.
This time, we'd like to invite President Carter up onto the podium for a special presentation before he speaks.
President Carter, this is Lauren from Valley Crossing. She had a special thing to give to you.
I can read 2 out of 4.
On behalf of Clear Springs Elementary, J.J. Hill Montessori Schools, and the World Peace Society, here is a 8-foot peace pool.
That's good.
We give you this desktop Peaceful to thank you for being our role model and partner in peace. We admire you for changing lives around the world.
Well, first of all, let me say that I'm overwhelmed with excitement and surprise and emotion. I had tears in my eyes when they were singing the song about me. I think that's the first song ever written about me that you could perform in public. Well, thank you all for it. Thank you very much. And I really like this peace poll here. It says, may peace prevail on earth on one side. It says, que la paz prevalezca en la tierra on the other. That's Spanish. I can speak Spanish. But the other two are in Chinese and Japanese. I can't read those. Someone else will have to do it. Well, this has been an overwhelming experience for both me and Rosalind. It brought back really wonderful memories, obviously, of the Nobel Peace Prize that we went over to Oslo 2 years ago to receive a year and a half. And just to see the other Nobel laureates so eloquent. When you push a button, there they are, they come alive. And I hope that someday I'll be there with a button on my chest and somebody can push me and I come alive. That was very good. Well, how many of the students know what human rights is? If you know what human rights is, say. Well, you know, it's the rights of a human being. It's the rights of a child. How many of you think you have a right to food to eat? Or clothing to wear, or a house in which to sleep? How many of you think you have a right to peace? How many of you think you have a right to education? All right. How many of you think you have a right for your parents, at least now, and you in the future, to go and vote and choose your own leaders? How many of you think you have a right to speak if you want to say something without being afraid? How many of you think you have a right not to be tortured and put in prison if you're not guilty? You see, those are all the things that make up human rights. And human rights is what really is commemorated at the Nobel Peace Prize. And the first one I mentioned was the right to live in peace. But peace includes a lot of things, because a child without any right to education or with any right to speak or with no place to sleep and no food to eat is not in peace, right? So peace encompasses the right of a human being to take whatever talent and opportunity God might have given us and to use it for our own, protection, first of all, but I would say, secondly, to help other people. Rose and I have just returned recently from 3 countries in West Africa. One of those countries is Ghana. And in Ghana, if you walk down the street and see 10 people, small or adult, one of them has AIDS. And if you go to a remote village like we did in Ghana, you see little children learning, and they can't go to school because they have a terrible worm coming out of their bodies. It's called guinea worm. And if they drink water out of the local only supply they have, which is a little pond that fills up when it rains in the rainy season, in the rest of the year, the pond slowly but surely goes dry. And when the pond becomes dry, which it will in about 3 more weeks, their parents have to walk 12 miles to the nearest place to get a drink of water. And they have to carry enough water back each day to let their family have something to drink. And if they drink that water out of that, what we would call a mud hole, in that water is a guinea worm egg, a tiny thing you can't even see. But if they drink that water a year later, the worms start to coming out of their body about this long. And it takes about a month for that little worm to come out of their bodies. And these little children sitting on a row in front of me and Rosalind had worms coming out of their bodies, sometimes between their toes, sometimes in their crotch, sometimes behind their knees. I remember one young woman we saw that was going to have a baby. She had a worm coming out of her breast. And later on that year, they found, after we left, that she had 11 other worms coming out of her body at the same time. Well, this is the kind of thing, you see, that takes people away from the right of a human being to live, because it's a very simple thing that they have to do not to have this terrible disease. And that is to pour their drinking water through a filter cloth, like a handkerchief or a napkin. And if they do that every drink, they won't have this worm. And Rose and I went to this little village in Ghana where we saw about 2/3 of the people in the village with guinea worm lying under trees. They couldn't even walk. And we went back a year later, 0 guinea worm. And they'll never have it again. Well, that's part of human rights as well. And it takes such a little bit of effort and concern and prayer and friendship and support for these people to correct the problems in their lives, and they don't know about it. In Mali, which is the last country we visited before we came back home, 91% of everybody in Mali lives on less than $2 per day. And almost half of them live on less than $1 per day. Okay, just think for a moment how you would get by with $1 per day. Okay, that's got to pay your rent. It's got to buy all the food you eat. It's got to buy your clothing. And you see there's nothing left for education or health care or self-respect or hope for the future. There's a hopelessness there. And we rich people in this country and others need to share what we have with them. That's one of the purposes of the Nobel Institute, is to encourage people like Nelson Mandela and like Mother Teresa and like Martin Luther King Jr., and maybe like us, to reach out to other people. So what you're doing here in Minnesota, the most advanced state in the nation in projecting the concept of peace, is very, very important. And it's especially important for young people your age to do this. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, not only for this warm and wonderful welcome that we've had and the exhibitions out here and the artificial usurpers who claim to be Nobel Peace Laureates, but I would probably believe that somebody here from one of these schools someday will receive a Nobel Peace Prize. And I hope you will. Thank you very much.
I'm Andy Yeoman from Clear Springs Elementary School. I'd like to ask President Carter a few questions. Okay. President Carter, what was one of your favorite childhood memories?
Well, what was my favorite childhood memory was some of them. Well, I grew up in a little tiny community near Plains, Georgia, which was our big city. Plains is a big city still. It has 630 people living in it. But I grew up about 2 miles away from that, on a farm during the Great Depression years, which some of the older people would remember. And all of my neighbors were black. I didn't have any white neighbors. And my playmates and friends with whom I wrestled and fought and worked in the field and went fishing in the stream and played baseball, they were all black. And so some of my most pleasant memories was the friendship that I forged with them. My mother was a registered nurse who acted almost like a doctor for the families around there. But when we had good things to do, we shared it with each other. I wrote a book about that a few years ago called An Hour Before Daylight. And Rosen likes me to say it's still on sale. But when I got to the end of that book, I thought about my own life. And I put in the book that there were 5 people, except my mom and daddy, who shaped my life. Of those 5 people, just 2 of them were white. And the other 3, obviously, were African-American people. And I think that's one thing we need to remember in this country today, is those early fond memories that I had when I was a child. I didn't really know then about the racial discrimination against my neighbors. But later I learned, and we established the principle of human rights as a foundation for our entire nation's foreign policy And that's one of the reasons later that I was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. So one of the best memories of mine is my early boyhood friends, who, by the way, although quite old now, are still my friends.
President Carter, what would you consider more rewarding and challenging, your presidency or your post-presidency as a peacemaker?
Last year, I think it was, I saw a cartoon in the New Yorker magazine. And this little boy is looking up at his father. And he says, "Daddy, when I grow up, I want to be a former president." Well, that partially answers my question. Obviously, being the president of the greatest and strongest and most powerful nation in the world is very exciting and gratifying. But I have to say that my life since the White House has been the best part of my life. We've now had the Carter Center going for more than 20 years. We have programs now in 65 nations on earth. We work for the poorest and most deprived and isolated and forgotten and suffering people in the world, and to find that they are so eager to improve their own lives is, I think, the most heartwarming experience I've ever had. And in the process, when we go to visit a very poor family, like those with worms coming out of their bodies, or families that don't quite have enough to eat or live on $1 a day, as we get to know them, we find that they're just as intelligent and just as hardworking and just as ambitious, and their family values are just as strong as mine. That's what I've learned since I left the White House.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
We would like to welcome Amy Klobuchar, Hennepin County Attorney. And U.S. Senator Mark Dayton. Thank you so much for joining us in this wonderful event today. We are at the close of our celebration of peace, and a great number of partners have contributed to making this the wonderful afternoon that it is. Too many, unfortunately, to name. But I would like to acknowledge two outstanding teachers, coordinators for this afternoon. Rita Hanley, J.J. Hill Elementary Teacher, St. Paul. And Connie Moret, Clear Springs Elementary Teacher, Minnetonka. Of course, Lynn Elling, founder of World Citizen Inc. and co-chairman of our annual Nobel Peace Prize Festival. September 18th, 1978. A wonderful day in our family. The day John Knuth was born. This is the headline in the Minneapolis Star-Tribune that day. It reads, Begin Sadat, sign peace plan. I took it out of our son's baby book this morning. We knew that our son would be a child of peace, and he is. That he would embrace peace as the children in this room embrace peace, as children and adults all over Minnesota embrace peace. the spirit of Camp David, the dedication to uniting humanity. Nobel laureate Carter, you teach us and you inspire us by your leadership and life's dedication to this great truth, which the children sang so beautifully in their song. And you know to what I'm referring, the words that concluded your Nobel Peace Prize Festival speech, December 10th, 2002. The bond of our common humanity is stronger than the divisiveness of our fears and prejudices. We can choose to alleviate suffering. We can choose to work together for peace. God gave us the capacity to make choices. We can make changes, and we must. Thank you for inspiring and leading us today toward that goal, President Carter.